Hi everybody, Miss Val here to do today's Sunday school lesson, and today we're going to talk about Jesus getting baptized. First of all, I want to ask you a question. How many of you have been on a team where you all have worn the same uniform? I know some of you have, and it's kind of cool when you are on a team and you all wear the same uniform because it makes you feel like a group, right? It makes you feel part of a group, and that means you identify with the other people on your team. And what that means is that you have something in common with those people on your team. And usually it's you all enjoy the sport that you're playing, or that your goal is to win a game, but you all have the same goal, so you all kind of understand each other. That's what it means to identify with someone. So now in a couple weeks, there's a special football game going to be happening. It's called the Super Bowl, right? You guys probably know about that. And there are two teams who are going to be playing. There are the Kansas City Chiefs and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, each of those groups is a team, and they all have the same uniform. So all the Kansas City Chiefs will be wearing the same color uniforms, and all the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will be wearing all the same color uniforms. And both teams, they'll be different colors, right? And that way we know who's on which team, so that if they were all out there and they all had on regular street clothes, or they all had on the same uniform, we wouldn't know who was on what team, and they might throw the ball to the wrong guy, right? And so we don't want that to happen. So that's why each team has their own colors, so they can tell who's on which team. So it's kind of like Jesus being on. We're going to talk about us being on Jesus' team and Jesus being on our team, and how Jesus identified with us and how we can identify with him. So remember, last week, Miss Cindy told you the story about John the Baptist. And I'm going to tell you about the time that John the Baptist baptized Jesus. So, as we know, John had been baptizing people in the Jordan River for a while. And did you know that John was actually Jesus' cousin? They were related. Yeah. And John knew that Jesus was a special person. And John had his job was to get people ready for when the Messiah came. And the Messiah was a person who was going to save the people from their sins. And Jesus was that person. But people didn't really know who he was yet. They didn't know he was the Messiah. But John knew, and John was getting people ready to be on Jesus' team. And the way he did that was to baptize them. So he would dunk them in the water, and basically it was like a bath, right? So one day, Jesus came to the Jordan River where John was baptizing people, and he asked John if he would please baptize him. And John was just confused and amazed, because baptizing people was basically to wash away their sins, to clean them, clean their souls and their hearts, and make them all fresh again, so that their sins were washed away and they were all new and clean again. Then they could start doing good things instead of sins. And John knew that Jesus never sinned, that Jesus was special, and Jesus hadn't sinned, so he didn't understand why Jesus would need to be baptized, since Jesus didn't sin. But Jesus said, it's really important that you baptize me, because I want to make sure that I'm a good role model for people, and I want people to understand that it's important to be baptized, and that when you get baptized, you have a fresh start with God, and your sins are washed away, and you can start over and start doing good things in this world. So it's important that people see me get baptized, so that they'll understand how important it is. And so John said, okay, and he baptized Jesus. Now, back then, the way that people got baptized was they dunked their whole body in the water, and they came up and they were just dripping wet. We don't do that anymore in the Lutheran Church. We baptize by just pouring a little bit of water on the head, and It's kind of like, it's supposed to be like getting a bath. Like when when you take a bath, you're all clean on the outside at the end. Baptism is like cleaning on the inside, cleaning your heart, cleaning your soul, so that you're ready to do good things in the world. So, but Jesus was dunked all the way in. And when Jesus came up out of the river and out of the water, out of heaven came the Holy Spirit, and he looked like a dove, and he landed on Jesus. And then out of the sky, out of heaven, came a loud voice, and it said, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased." Wow, do you think people were freaked out about that? You bet. That was the voice of God. And that voice was telling everybody that this was his Son, and that he liked what Jesus had done. He liked the fact that Jesus got baptized, so he was very pleased about it. Well, from that point on, when people knew that Jesus was God's Son, they started to follow Jesus and to learn from Jesus and to learn what God wanted them to do in the world. And that's how Jesus started his ministry. So what Jesus did was pretty cool, because he wanted us to see that he could identify with us, that he could understand where people were coming from. Even though he was really God, he was born like we all are born. He was born from a mom, right? From a lady, from a woman. And he was a baby, and then he grew up just like we grow up. So he probably had dirty diapers his mom had to change, and he probably had to crawl, and then he learned how to walk, and he got into trouble just like we do when we were growing up. And he did that just like every other human baby would do. It's just like us, so that he could understand what human beings were like. So it was pretty cool that he did that, so that people could see that he was on their team, right? And moms and dads do that for us when we're babies. They take us to be baptized. So Jesus, he didn't get baptized until he was 30 years old. But usually, when we get baptized, we're babies. Not always, but usually. And that's our moms and dads bring us to be baptized because they want us to be part of God's team, and they want us to grow up on God's team. And that means that they help us learn about God by going to church or taking us to Sunday school and helping us learn how to be good people. So that's what moms and dads do for us when they take us to be baptized, okay? Now I want to show you something here. We talked about all wearing the same clothes when we're on a team. Now, when we're baptized, do you think other people can see? We basically are putting on God's uniform when we're baptized. Can you see other people's uniforms if they're baptized? Can we tell if somebody's been baptized? Like, we can see, oh, they have on God's uniform. We can't really see that, can we? No, we can't. Now I'm going to show you a little trick here. So see this piece of paper? Right? There's nothing on it, right? Can't see anything special about it. But I'm going to put some water on this paper. Just like we use water to baptize people, I'm going to use some water. So here's a glass of water and a paintbrush. And I'm going to put a little bit of color in the water, because if I just painted the paper with the water, you can't really see water because water is clear, right? So I'm going to put some color in it so that we can see the water, so you can get the idea of what the water is doing. Okay, I'm going to put some color in there. And mix it up. Okay, now I'm going to show you what water can do. So even though we can't see each other's uniforms, God can see. So God knows if we've been baptized or not, because he can see, right? He can see invisible stuff. So watch what happens. The power of water. I'm going to put water on this piece of paper. Now like I said, I put some color in it so you could see it. But before, you couldn't see anything on the paper, right? But now that I put some water on it, it now you can see it says God's team, right? So that's what water does for us. It puts that uniform on us that we're part of God's team. So that's pretty cool, right? Well, before we finish our class for today, I thought that it's very important, since we're on God's team, we should have a cheer, like be cheerleaders for God, be cheerleaders for Jesus. So I am going to do a cheer with you so we can all be cheerleaders, because every team needs some cheerleaders, right? Okay, so this is going to be a Jesus cheer. So I'm going to write Jesus up on the board so you know how to spell it, and then we're going to do a cheer, okay? All right, so here we go. I'm going to try and write it so you can really see it. There's a J, E, S, U. Whoops, that wasn't very good, was it? S. Okay, so here it is. J-E-S-U-S spells Jesus. Okay, now I'm going to show you, we're going to make the letters of Jesus with our bodies. Okay, so we're going to practice. So everybody, this is a J, so I'm going to go like this and like this. Does that look like a J? J, good. Okay, E is, put your hands out this way and put your leg up. E. S is a little harder. Put your hand up, your other hand back here. That's an S, right? And then a U, and then an S. Okay? All right, so we're going to do the Jesus cheer. Are you guys ready? Here we go. Ready, go. Give me a J. You've got your J. You've got your J. You've got your J. Give me an E. E. You've got your E. You've got your E. Give me an S. S. You've got your S. You've got your S. Give me a U. U. You've got your U. You've got your U. Give me an S. S. You've got your S. You've got your S. What does it spell? Jesus.